Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to today's Achaibo Clinical Free One-on-One webinar. I am Bea, assistant to Tengu, and I'll be managing this webinar and running the back-end technical side. We're so excited you can join us today. Before we get to our incredible speaker, I want to share a few housekeeping notes. You'll notice everyone's mic are muted and cameras are turned off. This is intentional to keep the focus on our speakers so that we don't hear any background noises as others join in. Use the chat box as a back channel for questions and comment and to participate in activities. You can also raise your hand by pressing the hand button and we'll have you unmuted during the Q&A session. Please reach out to a Chibo team or write in the chat box if you're experiencing ongoing technical issues. All the questions will be addressed during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will upload to our YouTube channel within 48 hours. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the founder and the CEO of Achaibo Clinical, Tengu muna.
Oh, B, thank you so much. What a warm introduction. Hello, Achaibo attendees and this amazing platform. Happy Sunday, you guys. I want to start off by saying I am so delighted that you joined us on a Sunday for this webinar. And I hope that by the end of it, you feel uplifted, you feel empowered, that you've learned more about this space and what we can do as African professionals to make an impact in it. So I'll start off by thanking Bea, that's our Chief of Operations, for the introduction. She's on camera, yay. And of course, as you can see, we have the team here. That's Vera. I know a lot of you interact with Vera. She's a director of marketing, and we have Julian, who's our director of customer outreach. He's here, he's listening. I'm sure he's busy working in the background. So welcome, everyone. I am really delighted that you guys are here. How is everybody feeling on this Sunday? Like, if you're feeling good, just do like a thumbs up before we start. If you're ready to, yes, indeed. If you're ready to listen and, and really engage in this uplifting webinar, yes, you guys, that's how I feel too. That's how I feel today. I was excited to just come and speak with many of you. So how many of you are on the WhatsApp group? That way I can kind of see here. If you're on the WhatsApp group, do just raise your hand so I can kind of gauge who is from the group joining us. Oh my goodness. Yes. Hey, Taiwo, you're on here. Eric, Rama, hello, you guys. It is a pleasure to see all the people on the WhatsApp group here. And of course, if you're not on the WhatsApp group, you are welcome as well. The WhatsApp group is our first line of engagement with our amazing participants on our platform, our clients and customers. So really excited that you're here. So let me go ahead and start. You've met the team. I am Tengu Muna, and I am basically one of the wings beneath this platform. And the purpose for Achaibo Clinical is really to innovate and modernize the African clinical trial space. And of course, I know that's a mouthful. Innovate, I mean, there's a lot, right, that we can do. But what I have found is that we need to have more of our patients benefiting from the products that are in this market and in this industry. But in addition to that, as healthcare professionals in Africa, we need to be knowledgeable. We need training about this industry because we are right at the forefront, you guys. We really are. We are the pioneers right now. And all eyes on our continent and in the diaspora, right? Because we're the last group of patients who have very little participation in clinical trials. And I will go through that today. So I'm going to keep going. And I'm delighted that you guys are here. I see more and more people are joining. So we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to talk about the mission of Achaibo Clinical, which I just introduced, what clinical trials are about. Every week I talk about global trends, and then I have some new things that I've added that we are going to be discussing. So you've seen me, that's yes, I am a live person. And if you're on the WhatsApp group, I am real. And I've been in the industry for over 19 years, and I'm a global operations consultant. What that simply means is that I am the execution part of the global execution team. So I come in as a consultant, and we, write the protocols, a team, with the scientists and all of that. We look at the operations piece and how well we can execute the protocol. And then we select the countries, the investigators. We do all the training for all the countries, set them going. There's a lot more involved. There's regulatory submissions and all of that, but I won't get into it. But the main purpose is that we take a protocol, we execute it globally, all the way to the end, and we submit to the regulatory authority. So I'm really at the center of everything that happens in clinical trials, and hence the knowledge and expertise that I have. I started off my career being in just one department within the clinical operations side of things, and then eventually came to the heart of operations and then moved up to the global level and created my own company. So that's in a nutshell. And my passion, you guys, is about education and training among African professionals on the continent and in the diaspora. And this came because when I would go to conferences and I would be sitting with all these key opinion leaders, and then we're discussing initiatives of how to better engage countries and our patients, it was rare to have an African site participate or African patients involved. And I just got so tired. Just conference after conference, event after event. And I thought, we absolutely need to do something about it. And no one is doing what I'm doing right now, So I just said, I'm going to go ahead and take all the knowledge that I've learned. I've been in the industry for a very long time, and I've engaged with the most incredible people around the world. And so I can take all the practice from audits, from inspections, from very important global meetings, and then package it in a way that will be beneficial to us. Okay. And so let me collapse this for a second. So that's where we are. I've worked for various companies. I won't go into that really. I've the whole gamut. Being in this for so long, I've worked on every type of therapeutic area, drugs, biologics, devices. I've created initiatives in really less developed countries, like stuff in Chile, Argentina, Vietnam. Really places where we really have to streamline the way that patients can have access to clinical trials. And so all of it. So I'm very familiar with the challenges that we can face on the ground on our own continent, and also the challenges that are also faced in some of the developing countries in terms of reaching diversity and getting patients in low-income areas access to clinical trials. So I talked about the mission for Achaibo Clinical, you guys, is simple. It's to allow more of our patients to participate in clinical trials. We have to do this by setting up more African-owned or African-based clinical trial sites, educating and training more African healthcare professionals to have careers in this industry, and of course, making sure that we possess the right knowledge. Because, there was a saying that, success is not about who you are, it's about what you know. So we have to have the right type of knowledge that we can use to engage more in this space. So I am not going to go into the definition of clinical trials. You can Google that. But I put this definition on here because I'm really excited about what is happening in this space. So there are two interesting movements right now. We are getting to a time when we are wanting to focus more on preventing and detecting diseases. And I think it's wonderful. With robotics, artificial intelligence, the storage of big data, that is such a movement that is impacting every industry. But the other part that I'm really excited about is this focus on diversity in clinical trials. So it's not just that certain groups of people will benefit from this incredible research investigations, but that different types of people should benefit from that. And with the shift in the world, we have more people moving up into the, higher income, second, upper class levels, more people are becoming wealthy. And so some of those countries that typically would not have access to these products are now having access to them. And I'll pause here for a second for anyone who's just joined us. I'm happy that you're here, really delighted. And if you guys are following, if you're engaged, if you're enjoying it, please just wave so that I don't feel like I'm just, talking to an empty space here. Okay, you guys, good, perfect. So let's look at some global trends. This is my favorite part. I love data. I actually started my career in data management. That's why I started. And right. So for me, the data pretty much speaks for itself. If you look at the world in general, we run the least number of clinical trials. But in addition to that, yeah, I see you guys are still clapping. Yes, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you so much. So in addition to that, we are not just behind on our continent, but in the diaspora. If you look across the world and the number of African physicians or healthcare professionals in this industry, like I mentioned before, it's less. So we are physically, we're not present, right, in terms of clinical research sites and all of that. We have the least amount of engagement, but also in the diaspora where it's a space, right, where we can't really see or touch, but we know that we have incredible, engaged, highly intelligent African professionals who can participate in this industry, but because they don't understand what's going on in it, they cannot participate. But I have to tell you guys something interesting. I focus, like I said, on African healthcare professionals because, you know, that's who I am. I'm African. I was born in Cameroon, in West Africa. I might be, you know, in the States right now, but that's really my only passion, is to make sure that, you know, I use all the skills, talents, and abilities that I have to give back, to educate, to empower. But what is sometimes fascinating to me is that even here in the US and in Canada and in Europe, the way that this industry is structured, people never really know what exactly is going on in it. And I get questions, I kid you guys not, from anybody. So what do you do again? And what is the clinical research industry? Because it's not an industry that is glamorous, you know, it's not an industry that a lot of people know about, right? And so hence those are some of the challenges. If you look at the number of clinical research studies that are being conducted all over the world right now, we're looking at about 425,000 averaging, and it has grown. You guys will see the graph that I have upcoming next. But in Africa, we're only about 14,900. And so, but with the shift that is happening in the world, if you see that there are about 52% non-US studies, and US only studies at 32%. And this number is shrinking because of decentralization, the availability of real world data, and also the ability to actually send out healthcare professionals to remote areas in the world to manage clinical trials. It is going to get to a point where majority of the trials are going to be run outside of the United States. And just remember that this data is for the trials that are registered on the FDA website, which is clinicaltrials.gov, or the NIH website. And that registry does not have all the clinical trials taking place in the world. There are other registries around the world, but it has the largest number of clinical trials because the FDA tends to set the standard across the world. So let's move on to the next piece here. So here's the graph. Look, I mean, I love graphs, and data always speaks for itself, right? So look at where the number of clinical trials that were registered in 2000, and look at where we are today. I mean, really, it's just incredible. And this curve is now going towards non-US studies. And Africa is the new frontier. We are now, the current project that I'm consulting on is across 100, and we've just hit 150 countries. Our plan is to get into 180, and there are no African countries involved. Now, nobody is shutting the door on Africa. It's just because of the nature of the trial. There are certain structures that are in place, and the people who selected these countries, and by the time that I got on, I mean, it's a very aggressive tumor, and the countries that have been used previously by other companies are being used again. But all across the board, we are looking for diversity. That talk occurs every single day. We need to be diverse. And how are we going to go about doing that? How are we going to ensure that, you know, different types of patients are participating? But no sponsor that I know of that I've ever worked with is going to go out and train a clinical research site to then participate in their clinical trials. They are relying on you to get the information, train yourself, get ready, and then expose yourself. That's really how it works. And no one is going to come out and train anybody. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done. But the thing that I stress on is working on one person at a time, one principal investigator, one healthcare professional, getting the right knowledge and education and getting into the industry, or one investigator again setting up for a clinical research study. So this is the distribution of the participants in clinical trials. As you guys can see, I want to focus on this here, the race and the ethnicity distribution. I find this graph very interesting. 76% of the patients who participate in clinical trials are white. And I believe this data is from the US and a few other countries. I can't remember what those are, but in general, 76% tend to be white. But in addition to that, if you look at the number of Black or African American or African patients that participate, it's here in green, it's about 70%, 7%. And that's, I would say, in North America. But here's what is interesting. If you start going to the globally, this number is even going to shrink further, because this graph doesn't really, it splits things up into white, Asian, Black, African American, but it doesn't have like, it has, then there was one graph here for Hispanic or Latino, which is about 13%. But if we look at globally, it's way, way smaller than this. If we had to break down this graph into the different regions of the world, the APAC region, the Europe, EUR, LATAM, Latin America, and Africa, right? I mean, it's way, way smaller than that. So there's really a need. And I had talked about the Clinical Trials Diversity Initiative by the FDA it was out in 2022. It's still a draft plan, and it's requiring all trials that are being run to automatically incorporate a diversity plan. So hence there is a need, there is an outreach. This is a hot thing right now, and especially African patients, because as we know, we have the largest phenotype and genotype in the world. So if I'm testing a patient on a drug or any device or on a patient who's of African descent, the chances are it's going to be fine with so many other populations, right, or ethnicities. So some of the things that are really difficult, I think, that is a challenge for clinical diversity this has been studied and actually looked at. Distant geographic location is the first one. So patients in rural areas, like we have a case study that we did in Chile, where we basically had to change the reimbursement costs for patients who are in the rural area, like 6 hours away from Santiago, and then weave that into our budget for this project so that we can actually get those patients. But here's the good part. We now have decentralized clinical trials. We also have virtual visits. When I say that we need training and education, I'll give you an example. If you are, say, a medical doctor who wants to work in the clinical trials industry, maybe you want to be a medical writer, I would say that, and you're going to be sitting in the group that writes the protocol. When you are aware of what happens at a clinical research site and the pain that patients go through to attend visits and all of that. So when you're writing a protocol, then you have an empathetic view towards writing that. And there's such a big movement now with writing patient-centric protocols. And so, thank you for acknowledging my passion here. It's so nice of you. So when you're working with when you've written a protocol and you know the pain of a patient is different, that's why when I speak with people here who I explain, you gotta train, you gotta get the knowledge. Everyone has to understand what happens at a clinical research site, how the visits are structured, why it's structured that way, because a clinical trial is run it starts with one site and one patient. And in fact, the WHO is really, working a lot on that, on really sensitizing healthcare professionals about this. So now we have the distant geographic location, we have decentralized trials, virtual visits, mobile medical professionals. I have to say this. When the COVID pandemic started, I was working on a project where we just did a 360-degree turnaround. We had to incorporate virtual visits. We had to revise the protocol. We had to bring in vendors, and I also manage vendors as well that had this capacity. Telemedicine, I never heard of telemedicine or telehealth before that. That was a big deal then. We also really incorporated more of the remote monitoring aspects of the study through the use of real world data, right? The data gets in, we start analyzing it immediately. And so that is the first barrier that I think is all of this other things are being put in place to ensure that our patients, right, can have access. So you can't say, oh, I have a patient who is in a rural area outside of Kisumu in Kenya, and they can participate. Now, if it is a pharmaceutical company that is aware of these initiatives, they should be able to participate, and you can have a conversation with them that, hey, I have a patient who lives like 2-3 hours away, and I want them to participate. How can we make this work? Very important. Frequency of clinical trial visits. 19 years ago, let me tell you something, you guys. I used to look at protocols and think, oh my goodness, who is going to a clinical research site every 3-4 days? It used to be insane. And simply because the people writing protocols back then did not have this knowledge and experience. In fact, when pharmaceutical companies or us sponsors are hiring medical writers, if you have had a bit of like experience in your past working at a site or doing some training on a clinical research site, the chances of you getting hired are high. It's just high, because when you're writing a protocol, and we all write it together, clinical operations, the clinical sciences, clinical development, medical affairs, there's a lot of input from all the functional teams. But when you have that knowledge and you're writing, and saying, oh, this patient will have to come to the clinical research site. Maybe they're sick, maybe they have some aggressive tumor, maybe a HER2 positive, breast tumor, and then there's so much that is going on, and you want to screen them to come into the trial. If you're aware of the heartache and what it takes for them to get to that site, you might say, oh, maybe we'll just have them, we'll do a pre-screening part of this protocol where the patient only comes in and has minimally invasive procedures done. Because if we put them through all these procedures and they do not qualify, then it's undue harm on that patient, right? So those are things that we want to think about. But then now, so what we do is we're reducing the frequency of trial visits. And with this, when we're writing a protocol, we now look at, okay, maybe instead of having them come in every other week, maybe we can have them come in maybe every 3 weeks to the clinical research site. And then we're also making the windows flexible. Instead of saying, oh, this is like they have to be there within -3+ days. Why don't we make it 6 days? But I know it's hard sometimes for the biostatisticians, because they are like, it's going to affect our data. But they are typically good with that. But the point that I'm making is that this is a barrier, but now protocols are being changed to ensure that patients can actually make it to that visit. Financial cost, this comes up all the time. It is amazing to me what we do to ensure that patients get to a clinical research site, because guys, there's competition out there. So one of the project that I'm on, we just had like 6 other projects pop up that are going to be competitive projects. So what do? How do you as a pharmaceutical company then say, okay, how are we going to distinguish ourselves? You become more patient centric. You become sensitive to the patients who are enrolling on your project. And so you do everything to ensure that they're not having any undue, unnecessary expenses. So I mentioned Chile, where we had to basically change the way that rural patients were coming to Santiago for their visits. So those are things that we want to look at. And I talk about these things because Chile, Abuja, Kisumu, trust me, all the things that I've worked on in some of those countries, there is no difference between that and Africa. The only difference is that we don't have this information. That's it. It's the exact same scenario. A patient is in a rural area, they have to get on a bus, and it's just It really is the same thing. So mistrust of clinical trials. God, I love this one. We actually have a thing where, and I've set up quite a few of this. It's an outreach program where we educate patients about clinical trials. And patients who are non-white, particularly patients of African descent, Black patients, I'm sorry. It is where we are at mistrust. In the past, we know what has been happening, the Tuskegee trials, Henrietta Langman, companies camping out in the bush in our continent and with no informed consent enrolling patients, right? So we are very suspicious. I mean, it's not just us. It's all patients who are non-white who tend to be suspicious. But the world is changing. And there is more education. This is becoming an industry that can totally transform the public health of so many countries, and it is doing that. So there's a lot of education. I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to ask you guys, do you mistrust clinical trials? Who out there? And I mean, if you do, just put your hand up, because I think it's always good, right? And let me ask, have you heard people, or have you heard people say that they don't trust clinical trials? It's like, oh, they're testing on like what we are guinea pigs. I think that's the one that we hear. Yeah, right, May. Thank you, May. And May has firsthand experience, you guys. Let me see who else is putting their hand up, because I know you have firsthand experience. Okay, okay. Poloken, yes, you do. Oh yeah, Peter does too. Yes, you guys. And one of the things that we found, one of the initiatives that was just incredible this year, I launched it across, I think so far we've done 80 countries. It's educating the principal investigators and educating on how to educate their patients. So it's about having a conversation that the industry has changed as a result of you participating. This is a big one that really transformed patients. As a result of you participating, the data that is going to be collected is going to affect generations to come. Now, if the data that is being collected in this trial is only for white people or a certain group that is not you, then that's the population that will benefit. In fact, I just read an article. There was a product that came out, I think it's about 10 years ago, and it's not effective on non-white patients. Like they went and ran all the parameters again, and it really is not. The efficacy is just barely non-existent in non-white patients. So those are things that we want to look at. So mistrust is education, 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 whether it's passing out flyers. I know sometimes we get a clinical trial and we're like, we got to enroll these patients now. But if you go back to the grassroots and do clinical trials 101, why it is important for this community to participate, how it's going to transform that community, how that data is going to help patients who are of your descent all over the world, and it definitely makes a difference. Language is another one, but we overcome this. I mean, my current project, again, is across 180 countries. So think about the number of translations that we have to do. There are countries where, like, I think India has like 25 different dialects or more, and we have to do translations into all of that. So there are resources available. And now we have translators, interpreters. But the thing that I want to talk about, which I mentioned, there's an upcoming talk that you guys will have on Clinical Trials Facts Wednesday. Make sure that your clinical trial staff at least speak the languages of the patients. This is why this is key. When patients come to a clinical trial site, they're already like, oh my God, a little bit nervous. And then when someone is able to explain the procedures in their language, but after explaining what is happening per the informed consent, but later, as they're coming to their visits, you have somebody who speaks that language. It just makes a big difference. So I highly recommend that. Make sure you employ people at your side who can speak the languages of those patients. That's really important. We're going to get to questions at the end, you guys. I promise you, this is going to be as long as you want it to be. I'm going to make sure we engage and we answer questions. Just bear with me here. We're always there. We're almost there. Lack of awareness of clinical trials. This is all over. I mean, we've held events where we just bring together different healthcare professionals and discuss ongoing clinical trials. We've done community events, churches. I mean, we typically look at a radius of 50 miles from the clinical research sites and say, what is going on here? The festivals going on, how do the people in this area engage in with each other? And then based on that, we now create tools and resources. for that. So that's something that I'm really engaged. One of my expertise is recruitment, and companies tend to bring me on with recruitment because I'm very good at recruitment initiatives, just because of the passion that I have for patients. So again, unique industry. And I talked about what makes it special. It's decentralized, it's globalized, it's adaptable, right? So doesn't matter where you are in the world with this skill set, so long as you speak the language of that country, you too can be in this industry. And that's what I really enjoy about it. The skills are transferable. There's no professional, there's no limitation. My background, you guys, is political sciences, but I've spent more of my career working and setting up the most complex oncology trials. Why? Because we're hardworking, right? I mean, you got, hey, raise your hands, right? We can figure out anything. We're hardworking, we're passionate, you guys, we're dedicated. And so our mind operates in a very scientific way as well as creative way. And it's the blessing of this amazing cradle of civilization that we come from, where we are hard knocks. I mean, we are, right? We just get stuff done. You guys know how it goes. I tell my colleagues, I said, African healthcare professionals are the most hardworking people. They're working with the smallest amount of resources. We don't get selected for clinical trials. We get into this industry through just hard knock, right? And yet we're so amazing at what we do. We are dedicated to patients, and we are really dedicated to growth. So, hey, so it is what it is, you guys. So trust me, we're all in this together. I want to talk about the players in this industry. It's so abundant, right? There's so many different ways that you can get in. We have the side, the clinical research side with investigator plus their staff. We have different vendors. I set up vendors, whether it's a lab vendor, recruitment vendor, clinical research organization. That's one of that's something that I lead as well, because on global trials, it can be extremely crazy, and we need to bring in different people so we can all manage different aspects of it. The government can run one, NGOs can actually run one. Ways to join this industry. This is the thing. At the clinical research side, you could be a PI, you could be a principal investigator, sub-investigator, a clinical research coordinator, regulatory person, you could be a quality associate, right? The sponsor side, you might just want to read this, but there are a lot more roles. And you can monitor, you can be a physician scientist, there are medical affairs roles, there are biostatisticians, medical writers, there are biomarker managers, program managers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff, but it's about the knowledge first, right? It's understanding what the industry is about and how I get trained. You can also work for all these different vendors as well, which I have listed here. There are more actually, but this is just a summary of the main vendors in this industry. So I'll pause here for a second. How are you guys feeling? Are you still engaging? Is this of value to you? Do you feel like you are? Okay, good. Yes, fantastic. Okay, great, you guys. That's how I'm feeling too. I am just on fire today because I'm so excited about every time that I read new regulatory laws coming out, new NGOs being engaged in this industry, and every time they say, we want to make sure that, Africa and the Middle East is not left out, like I just get so excited for us because I know that there is such a movement. So I talked about our clinical research programs. So what makes us different is this. I am all about education. There's a reason why. When I've trained a lot of principal investigators, a lot of key opinion leaders, CRAs, I mean, that's just part of my job on a day-to-day basis, because in clinical operations, we're constantly mitigating risk. I never know who's going to get training. I never know, what country I'm going to be speaking to, or who and what support that they need. What I have found across the board is the best investigators, the best researchers are people who are constantly training and educating themselves. And which is why Achaibo Clinical is all about our training programs, making sure that you have the knowledge. But in addition to that, we also work a lot on the success mindset, because what I have found is this. It's one thing to get the knowledge and the experience. And by the way, it's hands-on training. There are the ICS GCPs that govern this industry, but we train on you. So you want to be a principal investigator. How do you set up your facility? How do you mitigate risk? Who do you hire? How do you run it on a day-to-day basis? How are you marketing yourself? How do you get to the first patient, be the one site in the first country that gets that first patient so you can get visibility, you can be a key opinion leader? Yes, so you want to work in the industry. You got to learn about what happens at a clinical research site. How do you market yourself? Who do you contact? What are the hot positions that are out there? How do you network? Very important. So you're a nurse, and you want to be a clinical research associate or whatever, healthcare professional, you want whatever you want to be. So our programs are created in a hands-on practical way. You get tools and resources, and also the success mindset is in there. That's what we are here for, to give you that practical training, not theory, not something, I've heard people have DM'd me and said, oh, I took this course and I swear, Tengu, I don't know why I took it, because they said it's about clinical trust. I'm like, yeah, they did, because many of these people know that there's opportunity in this industry, but some of them come in and then they create programs. And then you have to remember that there is the sponsor level, which I am on, and I work globally. So I have a bird's eye view of the world. And then there are others who maybe have only worked for one vendor, so they have only one idea of what clinical trials are about. So the reason why I'm here is because I said, if I'm going to teach and train and really ensure that we get this knowledge, then I have to make sure that we are the best of the best. But there's another side to the business. We also network with pharmaceutical companies, and we also help them to get the right clinical research sites that can participate in clinical trials, and the right vendors. So really important that you get the right knowledge, not some from a place where somebody has never managed a global trial. They don't know what it takes to submit to the regulatory authorities. They don't know what it takes to, to train a principal investigator or train global teams. I mean, they don't know any of that. And so whatever information that they're providing, it's just, you're getting just a little bit of it. Really important. And the reason why there are not too many of us in this industry, well, I don't know of anyone doing what I'm doing. And I know why, because all my colleagues who are consultants like me, they think they're like, what? I'm good. I'm good. So, and many of them are non-Africans anyway. But what I always say is that it's a disservice to live your life and not be of service, especially when I was born on that continent. My father was a Pan-Africanist. And I feel like if I don't do what I'm doing right now, he's going to roll in his grave and come catch me at some point. So just jokes aside, that's really what it is, right? We got to give, we got to serve, right? Some of you are laughing. Oh, let me tell you, I grew up with the Africa, oh yeah, every day. So, and I thought I left that until I was singing in a conference and I had this epiphany and I started crying and saying, why are my own people not in this industry? Why? And if nobody is going to do it, I will do it. I, Tengu Muna, will do it, and I'm going to build a team of people. And I'm so blessed right now. I always mention the team here, Vera, B. Julian, who, by the way, and not even from, I mean, I call them they're my adopted Africans, and they're just incredible. They get this vision, you guys, this passion, they get it. It's really important. So these are our programs, right? Which I will get into. Our current program, we have two. So this is the last online instructor-led program that I'm actually giving, because I think we're just getting bigger and bigger. But we have two programs that are coming up in February. The first one is the Achaibo Clinical Career Clinic. If you want to set up a site, if you want to work in the industry, whatever you want to do, we basically train you on everything and then show you how to market and brand yourself. And you can look at our testimonials that are on our Achaibo success page. That is on there. And this is, like I said, it's for a principal investigator. You want to be a SOBA, you want to work at a site, you want to work for a sponsor, or you want to work for a vendor. And this program has a whole payment plan. So that is the value of the program. But if you go on there, you see a payment plan. I always say you can book a call with me if you want to know more. The second program is the Ultimate Clinical Research Monitoring Program. Now, let me tell you guys something. When I started in this industry, after I was in data management, I became a monitor. I was a monitor for 10 years, and then I became a trainer as well. And during those 10 years as a monitor, I was actually in a dual role, monitor and project manager. I am so passionate. I mean, yes, I'm passionate about the career clinic. Don't get me wrong. I am passionate about training professionals but I just think being a monitor, this is the career, and I get emotional a little bit, that transformed my life in this industry. Because when I was in data management, I was seeing just one aspect of clinical trust, but it helped me because today I always get invited to sit on data monitoring committees just because of that knowledge, or actually lead them or chair them, or facilitate them. But as a monitor in this industry, the reason why I love this is because there are many medical doctors who go to other countries, or nurses, or lab technique, whatever you studied, and then you're stuck because your certificate doesn't. It's like, oh yeah, you're a medical doctor, but you're in a different country, and then you're like, I don't want to take the board, I don't want to go through licensing again. Many of them become monitors because it's a low-hanging fruit, and it's something that is easy to get into so long as you receive that training, right? But here's the other part that I really love about this. As a monitor, you are at the center of everything. So it's one of the great clinical operations roles that mimics what happens at the global level. So you are in touch, you have to basically look at the data, you have to look at the patients, you have to ensure that the clinical research sites are actually performing the execution of the clinical trials protocols according to ICH GCPs. So what that means is that you got to know everything. So when I was a monitor, oh my goodness, I just loved it because it's because of that I was able to go into country project management and global consulting. And this program is so dear to my heart. The other program took me forever to create, but this one took forever. And I keep, fine tuning it and making it better. It teaches you how to monitor, but not just how to monitor. It gives you a mindset where you can move up quickly. And in a sense, all the programs here are like that. I mean, I have to, once you get in, what is the next step? So you're getting monitoring not from the CRO perspective or vendor, you're getting monitoring from a sponsor perspective and how you can really engage, and the best way to support your principal investigators. It is taught in a way that you're of service to investigators. Back in the day, monitoring was you go and you tell sites what to do. And I was never into any of that. I thought it was ridiculous. I'm like, we're all in this together. A clinical research site is the most important thing in this industry. The patient is important. And so I'm all about education. So when I was a monitor, that's how I was very good at what I was doing, because I just figured out why they're the ones doing, collecting all this data. And so I educated. I was all about education and creating free tools. And so that's the approach in this clinical research monitoring. This course is a whole different level, and it gives you so much that you can use as a monitor and to actually move up. So who is it for? If you're a study coordinator and you want to move up, clinical research nurse, you're a nurse, you're an MD, if you're moving to another country, good one to have, because you're going to just get in and you're going to get a job before you start thinking about, oh my goodness, do I want to do the board, whatever my the next step for my life is. And then I have this other program, which I haven't mentioned yet, but it's our other services. So it's our so let me give some more details. We put these slides together and then I kind of rush ahead. 8 weeks, 8 sessions, starting February 12th. What that means is just that this is an instructor-led, it's going to be led by me. Both programs are starting on February 12th, and they each are starting at different times. And it's going to be 8 weeks. You're going to be with me for 8 weeks every Sunday. All the calls are recorded. We also have a WhatsApp group, so you can send questions if you cannot make it ahead of time. What else? We also have Success Mindset Incorporated. So you're getting two, and then a lot of coaching is actually involved. But once you're done, Achaibo Clinical Ask Achaibo starts, I think it's the week of, when does it start again, B? When did we say it's starting? I'm going to ask her.
When? April 9.
April. Okay, perfect. Okay, she said it. She said it. Yeah. So because every person who has coached with us will now give you the opportunity to have to, as you're progressing, once you get the information, you're going to execute it and you'll do great. But now you can always come back and ask any question, because I've had situations where people have coached in the past have sent me a message, hey, Tengo, I'm working on this project. This is what is going on. You know, we're analyzing certain types of adverse event. I know it's in your course, but I can't. What did you say again about that? I'm like, this is what you do. So I just said, let's just do Ask Achaibo Clinical. And that way you guys can come every Sunday and just ask questions and we can keep, supporting and serving you. Now, the other program that we have it's a GCP training program. We had a GCP giveaway. I think it was in December, but we do have a GCP course. It's basically teaching you the ICS GCPs from a different perspective, how you can actually apply it in the real world. Not just saying, well, the definition of an adverse event is an untoward medical event that affects the patient. No, it says it affects the patient, and this is how you, as the principal investigator, this is what you're going to do. If an adverse event occurs, you're going to make sure that, is it an exacerbation? Is it one that needs to be recorded? Does the protocol require it? How do you manage this adverse event? What are the requirements? How do you document it in your source? In the source. If you have a situation where you have to mitigate risk on your site, and maybe you had some new people, you took on some new people, they were not well trained. I'm actually giving you real world scenarios here. And for some reason, somebody did not document like 5 or 6 adverse events. How do you mitigate that risk? What do you put in place to ensure that in future, there is a proper process and procedure for mitigating adverse events? That's also part of the other program, by the way. We make sure that you understand that risk mitigation is so key in this industry in terms of that. Other things that are upcoming, the Achaibo Clinical Strategic Partner Network has always been in place, but I want to talk about it. Every single person who is setting up, who has a clinical research site or who has coached with us, or you're a vendor who's coached with us, we automatically present you to sponsor companies now. We do, behind the scenes work and say, hey, we have this vendor and this is their services. You don't pay anything for it. And this is what they do. Should you have any upcoming projects, we want to present them and that type of thing. So we're basically doing all your marketing for you. And if you are a clinical research site right now and you're interested in this, let us know so that we can, add you to our network. One-on-one coaching. I have incorporated this. There are a few sessions. It's simple. It's 2 hours with me. There are 2 sessions minimum, and that's it. Because I've had people who are in the industry, they want to move up. They just need that, pick me up or Tengo, what should I do? Hey, and then I also have people who want to get into the industry. Maybe they've worked in it before or not, and they just need, show me what to do. Who should I contact? What should I say? So that's another thing that I've put in based on where the company is going. And then my favorite one, you guys, the Achaibo Clinicals Ambassador Network. It's going to be starting up in May, and it's for anyone who wants to promote what Achaibo Clinical is doing. And in return, and you get a percentage off of anything. I mean, if you have students who are coaching, who you refer to Achaibo Clinical, you get the percentage is pretty good, but also you get free coaching every other week. So it's a bi-weekly network where you come on, you get free coaching. We talk about the clinical trials industry, you get training. I also coach you and I answer all your questions. So those are the things that are actually coming up. Before getting into Spirit Gems, are you guys there? Are you guys following? I see some of you drop off on and off. I think it's your internet connection. I hope mine doesn't pop out at some point. How are you guys feeling? Good. Very, very happy. Thank you, really. It's an honor for me to be here. This a platform only exists because of all the support that you guys are, like who you are, whether you're in the industry, whether you're not, each of you is extremely crucial to our revolution to be pioneers in the clinical trials industry. Spirit Gems, because every program has this, I always end with this. I really believe that every single human being has the capacity within them to do great things. And I say this from my heart because there was a time, I don't know let me ask, did you guys watch my end of year video? Who watched my end of year video before I continue? Where I talked about, what happened, losing the company and growing and all of that. And this was on our Facebook and our YouTube for the Sunday chat. Okay, good. Some of you watched it. Okay, good. Because that was a vulnerable moment. Yes, indeed. I went through a very difficult period a while back. And I honestly believe that, when this universe or source or God has given you a plan and you start doing other things, you know what's going to happen? You're going to fall on your face so that you can rise up and become who you're meant to become. So one of the things that completely changed me, I've always been someone who always got up in the morning, meditation and all of that, so prayer, journaling. But when all of that happened, this was like, it's been at least a while. I started getting up at 3 a.m. Yes, people, I'm a 3 a.m. clubber. I don't play around. And that completely changed things for me but then it was all the coaching and the mentorship that I've done before and people who were in my life who were able to really help me and pick me up. And I am all about nurturing the garden. In the Yoga Sutras, which is something I've been studying for over 10 years now, they say your mind, the cheetah. Think about this. Think about it like a garden. And then there are these things, they're called rajas and tamas. These are like weird energies that like go through your mind, that cause you not to move forward in life. It could be programming from when you were young, right? We're picking up so much as we're going through life. But you have that beautiful garden, and then you have the tamas and the rajas that are the weeds. So let's say you have a garden of beautiful roses and you don't nurture it. So you're studying all this stuff about the clinical trials industry. Oh my goodness, I took the coaching at Achaibo Clinical and I got all the knowledge. Woohoo. But that garden, the weeds that keep taking over, right? Then you start doubting yourself. You're like, man, I took all this training. Can I really get into this industry? Can I set up a clinical research site and make a difference in the lives of my patients? And then you start doubting yourself just because you do not have that other foundation. Making sure that your mind, your body, your spirit is balanced, making sure that you're in a group like this Achaibo Clinical, especially the WhatsApp group, where you're amongst people who want to make a difference in the world, who are high energy, high spirits, and who are determined to do something different. Who wants to live on planet Earth and go without expressing all your skills and talents? I mean, it's ridiculous. I always say, please, God, I don't want to die and not express all the skills and talents that you have within me. I beg you, because I would not go. I'm going to hang on to they're like, Tengu, it's your time to go. I'll be like, no, I'm not ready. Guys, you got to express it. And so I'm all about empowerment, and the way that the programs are structured, it's this way. Even the meetings I have with my staff, they know, they can tell you, we have meetings, we're all about, you can do this. You too matter. Your song matters. You are part of the tapestry of the universe. And within the clinical trials industry, that's why I'm an advocate for patients. Because, my mother suffered, she just recovered from HER2 positive breast cancer. And I kept telling her, I said, you are well because what was used for you, all the different procedures and all the different medications that you use, do you know it comes from what's happening in clinical trials? And she was in one of the top hospitals, and they literally watch clinical trials and see all the new data coming in. In fact, there was one adjuvant product that they gave to her. It didn't work. African blood, right? Her oncologist was like, you don't need this because you're fine now. You don't. Her body was like, nah, we've actually we've had enough. But I said, but the data from this, there are not that many African women, and her oncologist said it, whose data we have at that hospital. And so that's going to help a lot of people, right? So that's how we want to think. It's not just, we cannot live life and say, I'm just here for me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. It's fine. I'm not going to judge you. But there was something about you guys. There was something about having other people engaged, and that's why we have the whole WhatsApp platform, the Facebook group and all of that, because this movement is a we. I want to make sure that every single person who goes to a tribal clinic, I don't care if you take our programs or not, that your life is transformed, that you're touched. And coming up in a year and a half, I'm actually going to have a program to show people how you can use, if you're in the industry, how you can use that to impact more people. So that's why I'm all about the success mindset training. And negative inner talking, particularly evil and envious inner talking, are the breeding grounds of future battlefields and penitentiaries of the world. You don't want that. Your good is yours. Nobody's going to take it away from you. And don't worry about what other people are doing. You guys, don't worry about that, because that is none of your business. Okay. We're here to innovate and modernize the African clinical trials industry, right? We don't care about what else is happening, because guess what? As a result of us making a difference in this industry, generations to come, think about this. Just imagine that 10 years from now, almost every hospital, central hospital on our continent has a clinical trials unit. Patients come in whatever conditions they have, maybe they can't afford to pay. And then they're like, guess what? We're running a clinical trial on malaria. We're running a clinical trial on some kind of sarcoma, and you can participate in it. We have patients now in my global project that are surviving because in fact, the product has already been approved in many countries, and they're alive because of that. But we have to nurture the garden of excellence within us, because there's a garden there. It's wonderful. It's incredible. And you want to surround yourself with people like this. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're part of something that causes you to just go, hey, no one's going to stop me. I'm going to go on to the Achaibo Clinical WhatsApp and watch some videos. Anyways, you guys. So that's what I'll just end here by saying, every single one of you, I want to thank you. We're going to go into the Q&A, whether you're on the WhatsApp group, whether you're not, you guys make sure to paste the WhatsApp group thing on there so that everybody can participate. And I just want to say something about the WhatsApp group. We monitor it closely. I want to make sure that no one in that group is exposed to any scammers or anything. And so when you see people post events, it's because we've had a talk about it. We can promote their event, whatever it is, right? Make sure that whatever you're posting, tell us, say, hey, Tengu, I have this coming up. This is how it's going to benefit people. Please, hey, post it for me. We'll promote it for you. I'm really serious about this. And we'll promote it across all our platforms. This group is for you. It really is. It's for all of us to be uplifted, to feel like we too have a community of clinical researchers and people who also want to come into the industry. It's for us to empower and to uplift each other and to put aside our differences. We really cannot afford to start talking about things that are divisive. We cannot do that, you guys. We can't afford to. There's no time. It's our time. Every other continent is big in the clinical trials industry except ours. So let's put aside our differences and let's keep engaging and let's move forward and let's make a difference so that generations from now can look back and say, oh my goodness, I'm alive today because, there was a clinical trial that I participated in and I could have died, but guess what? My doctor said, hey, you might not be feeling well, but guess what? You might have stage 4, but we have another option that is available for you. It's an experimental drug, and we've seen results happening in another country, and you too can participate. Okay, I'll end there, and let's go to the Q&A, you guys. Oh, I already mentioned it. Email. This is our email. The webinar recording, B talked about it. WhatsApp group. Join the WhatsApp group. Join the. Make sure you join it. And our next webinar is on February 5th. I'll have every webinar I add different topics. So that's our next one. Okay, guys. So let me go into the Q&A. I'll start with questions that have already been typed in before moving on. Yes, you're gonna get the presentation. We typically don't send the presentation out, but why not? Why not, you guys? The reason is because we want to make sure that this is all okay, so let me put it this way. If you want the presentation, ping B or Vera and say, I want the presentation, and we're going to email it to you. I'll just put it that way. We don't generically send it out, but the recording is available for everyone. I think that Rama, there's a small percentage of Africans. It's just simple, like I mentioned before, right? And you can go back and listen to this video. And okay, I remember when I started, when I've seen different countries like Chile, Argentina, Brazil. Now we have, a lot of clinical trials. China has just blown up. It's because people like you and me got engaged and started educating people and putting initiatives like this. It's really simple. It's just, and then there are many of us who are in this industry.
on the continent. I know some of them, and they're doing their best, but I think we have to get out of the man's mindset of I. Let's do we. We have to start thinking, we automatically like we, right? Our communities, when you have a party, you're inviting everybody, right? I mean, you're not just going to cook. Like I remember growing up in Cameroon, when you have an event, it's not just you alone. I mean, just the cooking alone can last for a month. But so we already have we now, but I think that sometimes we get into places and we think, oh, there's only one of me that can do this. Let's do we. Let's keep doing we and empowering each other. And sometimes I know some people book calls with me and I give them so much information. It's just because, yes, you can consult with me. Trust me, the information I'm giving to you is just a tip of what I can do. But you need to share information. Information is meant to be shared. It's not for us to take it with us and die. You got to share information. Very important. So that's why, Rama, it's just education and training. That's really what it boils down to, and initiatives like this. Oh, no, it's all, every single program they're all installments. So what you do is when you click on the link and B and Vera, you can do the link. There is a CRA training program. If you know what program you want to train for already, just go ahead and click. When you get there, click. We have many different payment plans. So when you click on the link and it takes you, click on the down arrow, you'll see when you see the cost, just click, you'll see all the different payment plans. They're on there. I did it on purpose because I know we love the payment plans. I know we do. So there are payment plans. And then if you have any questions, just DM me privately. I'll send a link to you and I'll explain it. Don't even worry about it. So I've answered all the questions in the chat. And now feel free, if you have a question, if you have something you want to say, anything, you guys. Any question that you have regarding clinical trials or success mindset, go ahead and ask me. If you have an observation, please go ahead. What you do is just raise your hand and B or Vera or Julian, they're gonna unmute you, and then you can come on and let me chat with you for a little bit. And don't be shy, because some of you, I said I'm gonna look out for you on this webinar. So some of you have had questions for me as well. So please don't be shy now. Come on here. Let me ask you. Okay. Babajide has a question. Okay, let's unmute. Oh, actually, yeah, Babajide has a question. Let's unmute Babajide, B or Vera. I think B can do that. B is driving this ship right now. She's driving the ship, you guys. I just showed up.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, Babajide. How are you? What country are you in?
I'm in Texas.
Really? Ooh, not too far from me, though.
Where are you?
I am in Overland Park in Kansas. I moved here from San Diego.
I used to work in California too. Okay.
Really?
I used to work in for an evidence-based startup in the Silicon Valley before.
Really? I lived in. That's amazing. I lived in Cupertino. I think you and I have kind of been moving around each other because I lived in Cupertino.
I used to live in Austin. I work in California, but never lived there.
Oh, wow. So I'm so delighted you're here. I really am. And so what do you do? Just let us know what you do as well before asking your question.
Okay. This is my first time here. And like I said, I'm a professor here, professor of public health. So
nice.
My discipline is in epidemiology and biostatistics.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. That's just incredible. Yeah.
So I've done quite a lot. So why I'm in this training is I saw when you were talking about clinical trials, and that is what I did before I moved here, like I said, with the startup. So I know you're talking about clinical trials, talking about the randomized sampling or something. So what are we doing in evidence-based medicine in Africa? Because I know most of the things now, they are moving into evidence-based medicine instead of, because as a clinical trial, there's so many trials you can do and not get into anything. If you don't get the right population or something. So what are we doing, as an African, since you're an expert, how are we utilizing the evidence-based medicine in clinical trials?
I'll be very honest with you. I think that what has happened is that because of the advancement in the West and in the East, there's more of that going on and the resources. We are just starting off Babajide, and the focus really is getting, well, so they're not even talking about that yet. Let me just be honest with you, because remember that we're now like starting like when trials were being organized in the US or in, or in the APAC region. So the main thing now is really focusing more on having more patients participate in clinical trials, and then of course having that patient engagement piece. But there is a little bit of that being involved in terms of evidence-based. The focus is really on making sure that we're not taking we're not studying or running projects that really have nothing to do with that subset of population, right? So let me just say that maybe a certain type of psoriasis does not occur in Central Africa, but I want to go test a product for psoriasis, right? Which is what was being done in the past, and that population there really will not really suffer from that. So the focus is engaging more patients, setting up more clinical research sites, training more principal investigators. But in addition to that, patient engagement and outreach, that is the big thing, educating people about clinical trials. And then also mobile healthcare professionals. But evidence-based right now, there is a focus, but not so much, right? Because it's first of all getting the grassroots in, and then we can start looking at all the different dynamics, that we can utilize for running trials.
Yeah, because I'm just asking because my goal eventually is to go, man. I mean, the reason why I'm asking is that the startup I work for, I mean, you might not start that, but is there any infrastructure? Because most of these things has to do with more about building infrastructures like tech, or I mean, a software to connect hospitals, because evidence-based is more of data. So if you don't have data, there's no way you can do evidence-based. So is there any also infrastructures in place in some African countries? Because I'm from Nigeria, and if you can, I mean, because of my accent, So my goal is to
not because of your accent. You could sound like
I mean, I'm not shy of. I'm okay. I'm not. No. So what I'm just saying is, I'm okay with that. But what I'm just saying is, my goal is to go that there. But I want to know if there's certain African countries that have that infrastructure in place that I can go and understudy and start to translate that to Nigeria. That's what I'm.
By the way, when I was talking about your accent, you could be from Cameroon. It's amazing how we are.
I know Cameroon.
You could be from Cameroon.
I know. I just want to put it out there to know. I mean, my God, I know.
Yes. I know. So yes, there is. You know what it is? I like what you say about evidence-based. We have quite a few trials, and what is happening is that because of the issues that we have, electricity cuts and everything, when we're doing budgets, I ran a trial in the Central Hospital in Dar, and we did a lot more. We had to provide a little bit of the cost for their Wi-Fi. We also helped to put a generator in place in that unit. So that's why I keep telling people, when you have the knowledge and the training, pharmaceutical companies, they need your clinical research side, they need your hospital. The question is, once you have the training in place, then it's negotiable. And I always say there's no difference between, a site that is in Abuja and a site that is in Santiago or really, it's because remember, we're really now focusing on decentralized trials. And I've seen it happen. Oh, thank you for acknowledging that. What I've found is that we work very closely now with countries. So when I'm doing a country feasibility, say I'm doing a country feasibility for Vietnam, I have to look at what goes on in Vietnam, infrastructure-wise, and how we can meet them at 50%. So I think many times we were like, oh, do they have grants? Do they have this? No, it's not about having grants. It's about saying, okay, fine, I'm a hospital and we want to run clinical trials. What kind of training do we need? Great, this is the training. Okay, Tengu, we're going to do the training. We're going to do everything that we have to do. And now when you present us to the sponsor company, I know exactly what to say. This is what's going on. This is a facility that has this amount of patients. This is the demographic distribution, and for the project that you're on, this will be a good candidate. Now, in terms of, hey, do they have enough computers? Yes, they do. If they have power cuts, how are they surviving in case IP has to be refrigerated? they have something in place, but maybe it's something that we can look at. So that's really what it is, Babajide. It's really making sure that the infrastructure does not stop you from actually going. Now, South Africa and Kenya has very robust infrastructure in place for clinical trials. I just gotta say, other countries do, but so for some reason, I found South Africa and Kenya are more advanced in terms of the number of clinical research professionals and all of that stuff. But it's about figuring out what you want, Babajide. I honestly believe that if this universe, and this might sound cheesy, you guys have heard this, can give you an idea, then it always has a way to bring it forward. So I think that you should go ahead with whatever it is. There are trials being run, there's data that is being collected. It's all over the continent. Even in Nigeria, there are trials being run. You ct.gov, go and look at all the trials being run in Nigeria and other registries. There are trials being run, but it's more of a, okay, what infrastructure do you have in place and how can we work with you? The change that we also want is that we don't want to, we don't want to run trials that are like a satellite of, university. That's fine. There's a lot of that, maybe Duke University has a site, in Kenya or whatever, or in Tanzania. The goal here with us is that we want to give our own people the independence to take a clinical trial and run it from the beginning to the end and teach you how to engage with the pharmaceutical company so you can get all that data. That's really what this is about, versus us being sub-facilities or satellite facilities. I think of sites that are in Western countries, we have the capacity. So long as we have the knowledge and the training, we can run our own trials. Absolutely. Or at best, we can come and work in the industry and medical affairs and make that change one way or the other.
Okay, my last question is, do you have like an internship program or something, or where you can just, I really want to have some feel, because like I said, I have I work for an evidence-based company before. What they do is data collection, using data collection to, so I'm trying to see if you know any clinical trials company, but I can work remotely just to have a feel of what they do in Africa and how they do their clinical trials in Africa. Like I said, my goal is to go back and try to do something, but if I could have like an experience or something you can recommend, a good clinical trial company. Yeah, so like I can work remotely as an intern, or I don't want to be paid. I'm okay. Like just to have a feel, understand. I've the experience here how they do their clinical trials, just to have that in an African country too. Knowledge is power, like you said.
Yeah, I have someone who's going to be doing a one-on-one consulting, like a one-on-one coaching with me in terms of, I have someone who actually will do, because she was already like you, she knows all of this stuff, but she just has to take the next step. I think I have 2 people like that now. What I would say is, if you're interested in one-on-one coaching with me, I can create a whole streamline of what exactly you can do, what companies that you can target, how you can network with them. Yes. In fact, I coach someone who works with Pfizer right now. Excellent. Scenario. Yes, I did. His testimony is on our website. You even have the experience. He never been in clinical trials. He did not know what until he met me. I never. So I would suggest my one-on-one coaching, and you can book a free call with me. And then I can tell you, what.
Definitely, I'm going to do that. I'm telling you, working with, I tell you, that's huge money in evidence-based. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but that company is worth billions of dollars that I work for. And what they do is just, collecting data for evidence-based trial. I'm telling you. Yeah. So I'm not looking at the money. The money will come, but I'm just looking at how we can improve evidence-based in Africa. That's my goal.
Absolutely. I think the first thing is, from what and other companies are doing that, by the way. By the way, you guys, when you say there's money, there's money in everything. This industry, what we can be, this could be a multi-billion-dollar industry in Africa. Yeah, you're right. I agree in the next 10 years, but we have got to be at the forefront. That's why I'm all about. We have got. What do? I have bird's eye view. I'm blessed. I'm at the global level, so I see everything that is going on. I study our competition with the companies that I'm with. So that's the blessing that I have, that I see what's going on around the world. But we have got to be at the forefront. And when you say, it's so funny that you said the big challenge, of course, is if somebody is on this call, you want to think about, and you can do this. maybe a database or an app, whatever it is that can collect the data of patients. That's huge also. If we can have a place where we collect based on the therapeutic area, we can collect that data and congregate it. That's some big money right there. I mean, that would just blow up, because then you have data from patients in Congo
Miss
and all.
Muna, you're just talking my mind. That's what
I know
that's
now.
my
So
plan.
you're gonna do.
That's what I'm going to do. I mean, like
Come
I
coach
said,
with me
I saw it from being an epidemiologist working as a senior epidemiologist working for them. So you're just speaking my mind. That is my final goal. You just said it.
Come and coach with me. I'll create a whole program with you. I'll show you what to do.
Okay.
How to
That would be. I really like to do that. I really like to do that. Okay, let me give other people. Let me give other people a chance to ask questions. I don't want to monopolize everything.
No, it's fine. This has been great. I think that, people sometimes, this is a massive industry. The possibilities for us are endless. We're just starting, you guys. There was no saturation. We're just starting. So can you imagine what is in store for us for the next 10, 20 years? So Babajide, thank you for enlightening us. And I am so excited for you. And you're right on track. You got to be at the front. You know how those surfers surf, right? When I was in San Diego,
I know.
They catch the wave right at the beginning, and then,
Yeah, I know. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. Anybody else? Let me go to the Q&A. I think you guys have questions here. Okay, Eric, I want to go into this thing. One of the things that I've found about us is this. We love certifications. Yes, all our programs are certified, but here's the thing. And I say this for everyone who coaches with us. This is a decentralized industry. The one standard that is globally certified, the only global certification that is you need in this industry is you have to understand the ICS GCPs. And at the end, you can do the FDA program or whatever you want to do. But every single company in this industry, and there are many, mine focuses on Africa. Every single course that I offer is certified. In my industry, it's not the certifications that will take you. It's the knowledge. When you actually have a conversation with somebody and you know what you're talking about, they literally will glance over whatever, and then they say, oh, good, you have a certificate for that. That is great. So because people always say, Tengu, do you have any, accredited? I'm like, no, the clinical trials industry, all the knowledge that you need, you got to understand what happens at a clinical research site. You got to understand how to network and get into the industry. And I've been in it for over 19 years. I promise you, I'm sure I have 100 certifications, because with every project, there's always something that is going on. But the most important thing is the knowledge and the training. The certification is the ICH GCPs, and we have ICH GCP certification. I always recommend taking the one by the NIH, because I think it's really incredible as well. So I hope that answers your question, Eric. Don't let the certification prevent you. Guys, we love certificates, but guess what? It's not the certificate, it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge. Don't chase the outcome, chase the journey, you guys. It's the journey, not the outcome. Yes. Imagine if you came to this event and I said, okay, good, you guys are here. B, can you send out their certificates now? They are here. What will happen? No, I don't say anything. I just say send out those certificates. Yes. After you this is the thing. I teach people how to fish. I don't give them fish. Seriously, because that has been my trajectory. What is important, like if somebody, or everybody who's coached with me, there are people who have not been in this industry, like I mentioned Samuel. But if you follow what I tell you, what you have, let me not even go for Moses, who was with us. I don't know if he's on this call. He was even in the industry. He wanted to get into the sponsor side, coach with me. He just is like, Tengo, I'm already like moving in. I did 2 years here. Because I showed him a methodology of thinking and how to market and brand yourself and what to do. So I teach people how to fish. I don't give you the fish. Because if I give you the fish, I don't want you to be dependent on me. I don't want people to take training, and then they're like, okay, Tengu, I show you, yeah, get this and get that, and then you can't live without me. I want to make sure that you're empowered. By the time you're done with my program, you have the confidence in the clinical trials industry. Wherever you go in the world, you are confident that wherever you are going to make it, right? That is the most important. And that's what happens. People coach with me. I'm like, I haven't heard from you in a while. Yes, don't hang on to me, please. Get the information, do what I'm telling you, and go take your life and do amazing things. Come to Ask Achaibo Clinical. Come hang out with us, and I'm going to start traveling in 2024. We're going to do on-site events. You guys will be there, but take it and be the person you're meant to be. You know? Yes. Hey, Armstrong, you're right. I forgot Ghana is also developed. Damn, Armstrong. Thank you. Yeah, Armstrong, you're right. Ghana is very developed for clinical trials as well. It really is. It absolutely is. And there's a lot of, and Rwanda is also coming in big time as well. Yes. Gilbert, you are welcome. Oh, I prepare for this presentation. I do, because you guys are important. I want you guys to feel empowered. I want to share the knowledge that I have. Every month is a different topic. I really want you guys to excel. And then even if you get some information here and you might go and somebody asks you a question, you can respond to them, right? You can at least empower them, And the amazing people on here, like May, who's on here, is in Kenya. She's a principal investigator. She's amazing. There are the people on the continent doing incredible things, you guys. There are, and in the diaspora. So knowledge, guys, success is not about who you are. It's what you know, right? That's it. It's simple. When you have information, you can do so many things. So my goal is to take you from, oh, I don't know if I can do this too. Oh, I think you can do this. Oh, I think I can even do this way better than Tengu and be even bigger than Tengu and cause more change in the world, So that's really what the goal is, to empower you. I hope that makes sense. And I think there's some people who are putting stuff. Okay. Any other person who has a question, just raise your hand and I will answer. I am here for you, you guys. Oh, thank you. That's WhatsApp. Join the WhatsApp group. It's my song. I got to dance it. Join the WhatsApp group. Because there are amazing people on the WhatsApp group. Really. If you really want, the WhatsApp group has some incredible people. They are top professionals, African professionals, in amazing organizations. And just to be part of that energy, even, and all these highly educated people who are making a difference, just the fact that you're on the WhatsApp group and that energy is just around you, of course you're going to be successful too. So you want to join the WhatsApp group and benefit from the incredible African healthcare professionals who are on there and just be in that space. So in 2023, you too can do something incredible with your own life, really, in the clinical trials industry. So any more questions, you guys? I see there are no more questions. So for those of you who are still here, I'm going to end by saying this. I want to first of all thank my team. Not mine. We are the Achaibo Ninjas. That's what we call ourselves, you guys. We are the ninjas. B is the chief of operations, Vera, director of marketing, Julian, director of he's a director of customer outreach. Hey, Christy. Oh my God, guys. Okay, let me thank them. They're amazing. Dr. Christy Hogue is in Atlanta, Georgia. She just interviewed me. I was so humbled. That will be coming up. She is a dentist and geriatrician, if I can say it. I don't know what's going on with my words today. I think I'm hungry. I got to eat something. But she's in geriatrics. So amazing professional. Her passion for what she's doing, but in addition to clinical trials, in addition to helping her community, she's in Atlanta, Georgia, you guys. And the passion that she has, so the podcast is going to air. We're going to tell you, you guys will get her website, what she does, and that way it can inspire you. Okay, so really important. So Christy, I'm so glad that you're here. I really am. Welcome. So happy. And everybody else, hey, you guys know me. I just like to say hi to everybody. So I thank all of you who've joined this. This is recorded. And by the way, Dr. Christy is busy. Dr. Hogue is, I can't believe she joined. She's so busy. So for those of you who are still here, I want to say thank you so much for attending. And remember that knowledge is power. Come train with us. Come get the knowledge. Come learn how to be in this industry, market yourself, how to make a difference in the lives of patients of African descent, Black patients. Really, really, because we are the cradle of civilization. So whatever we're doing helps the world. The data that's going to come from Africa in the next 10 to 20 years, the products that are going to come out are going to help the whole world because we have the genotype and the phenotype. We have it, you guys. So I am so excited. I think that is going to be an amazing year. The next webinar is on February 5th. If you can attend it, new topic, new excitement. And of course, the ninjas are here. They're there to support you. You can email, you can book a call with me if you have additional questions. You want to do one-on-one coaching, you want to join our February program, hey, do that. What else do we have upcoming? Oh, we have the Sunday chats and we have the Wednesday chats. So there's a lot of juicy things coming from the Sunday chats this year. I based it on my book, 8 Daily Practices for Intentional Living. And of course, the Clinical Trials Facts Wednesday, which is trending and it's the hard work of the team. Vera, Julia, Vera, the social media queen. It's all, she's like, Tango, we're trending. I'm like, oh, wow. That's awesome. So guys, I want to thank you. Have a fantastic week. On Monday, I do the upcoming on the Achaibo platform. Every single one of you is important. You matter. You're making a difference in the lives of patients with all the little resources. And you're out there doing what you're meant to do. And I appreciate you guys. Be passionate, be full of integrity, and most of all, always rise to higher levels of excellence in your life. And don't let anyone tell you anything, okay? I thank you guys so much. And I will see you soon. Okay. Bye.